Namaskar and good evening to the viewers of Pandit Ravi Shankar Music Foundation. We are in our reflection series, 7th, 9th episode of Reflections, marking 101 years of Bharat Ratna Pandit Ravi Shankar. Friends, today it's a very important day. We have birthday of two legendary musicians. One, R.D. Burman, his 82nd birthday, and the second, legendary dancer, Srimati Amla Shankar, her 102nd birthday. Today we also lost one of our great musicians from Allahabad, Pandit Anupam Rai, at a very young age. Our heartfelt condolences and prayers. So on behalf of Pandit Ravi Shankar Music Foundation, on our reflection series, we have today Barry Phillips, cellist and disciple of Pandit Ravi Shankar ji. On behalf of Pandit Ravi Shankar Music Foundation, I invite Barry Phillips to our show Reflections.
Thank you, Nabarun. Pleasure
Hello,
to be
Barry.
here.
Namaskar. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm also fine. Nice to see you.
Good to see
And
you.
our best wishes to your mother also on her 90th birthday.
Thank you for that. She'll be thrilled. She'll see this later in the week, and she'll be very happy. So thanks.
So nice of you. And to continue the conversation with you, you have a Guru Bhai, Shri Gaurav Mazumdar.
Gaurav.
Namaste, Barry.
Namaste.
Nabarun. What a pleasure to be talking to you on your mother's birthday, 90th birthday. What a milestone.
Yeah.
And I was so happy when I was talking to you that you're serving her, you're taking care of her, and that's so nice. That's so wonderful. Give a hug from all of us, our love to your mom, and we wish her great health and great time ahead, Barry.
Thank you. I will do that, and she'll be very happy to have this an extra birthday wish. So that's wonderful.
And it's so nice to be back again together and speak about our favorite topic.
Yes.
Where do we begin, Barry? Let's start with your childhood, your family, your growing up. Tell us about where you are from and what was your background, family background when you started.
Well, I grew up in San Jose, California, Silicon Valley area. Born in 1955. And, my grandmother played piano by ear. She would play classical music without reading. She would just play what she heard. And that always amazed me. That was like a magic trick when I was a little kid, to see her just play things. You could ask her for a song and she knew the whole thing. And then, let's see. I got interested in music very strongly when the Beach Boys came out here, very California, the Beach Boys. And I wanted to be a drummer, and I became a drummer for a while. And then the Beatles hit. And I think probably so many musicians I meet, the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, 64 probably, 1964, changes somehow. It just drew me in completely. Like, okay, I want to play music. I'd like to be a Beatle. That's going to be a hard goal to reach. So I just continued with drums at that point as a teenager. I was 9 when they played on Ed Sullivan. I'm going into too much depth here. I'm just going to go to I became a cellist on my own. I just thought I was so drawn to the cello when I was age 14. I started playing, kind of late for a classical cello player, but I didn't think I was going to be a classical cello player. I was playing with singer-songwriters, and I eventually went to school for cello and composition. And in my 20s, went through the San Francisco Conservatory of Music and received a bachelor's in composition and then a master's in composition there, where I also studied cello. And then I was on my own. I mean, then it was, okay, how do I make a life and a living and be a cello composer guy? And that's a challenge. That's the back. I could talk about how I met Guruji, how this.
Yeah, from here, I mean, let's talk about how you came to know about Indian music, how you came to know about Guruji, and when was the first time you met him?
You know, I'm sure with every like Western musician you've spoken to, I'm sure George Harrison and the Beatles is the first thing you hear, because that's what hit America. First in the movie Help, where there were Indian musicians in a scene playing Hard Day's Night on sitar and tabla, and I believe that's where George got interested. Like sparked his interest. I don't think I'm incorrect about that. You can correct me if you know. And then he started using it in Norwegian Wood, and of course Within You Without You, and Inner Light, those songs. But then, you know, after Help and the Norwegian Wood, the West learned about Ravi Shankar in a very big way, as you know, and Monterey pop and all that. So, in fact, when I was still a drummer and still starting on cello, I used to go down to this little store called India Imports, where they had some bad sitars and some bad tabla. And I just go in, and it was in the back of the store, so I could go in and just noodle around and play badly, sitar and tabla. But they let me do it just as long as I wanted to just make noise. I'm sure it was a lot of noise. But to me, it was like magic to hear Juari from even a bad sitar was something that drew me in. And I actually had a trip before I met Guruji, I had a trip to India. I got a job as a music director for a film in Chennai around 1992. I'd say by accident, but it was my mother in San Jose living next door to the mother-in-law of the filmmaker who was living in Chennai. The nephew of, actually, he's the nephew of Shivaji Ganeshan, the South Indian actor. So this was a big jump for me into South Indian culture. I'd never been there, and I did the music direction for this film and met so many wonderful musicians. And I had mridangam lessons with Sri Karakudi Mani then too, just to jump in as far as I could jump and still get my work done as a music director there. And came home. I had a wonderful experience. I came home and got a call from, unrelated to that, I got a call from Rick Turner, the guitar builder, who now is just building guitars a few blocks away from me here. I'd met him briefly. I'd met him for a day in LA, and he knew Alan Kozlowski, and Chants of India was being put together as a project. And Rick Turner recommended me to Alan, and Alan recommended me to Guruji as a cello player for that CD. And I said, yes, please. I would love to do that. And at the time, it was going to be recorded in LA, and it's a very long story because I didn't end up playing on it just because of scheduling, so many scheduling things.
Well, that's the long story. We would like to know. Tell us the long story. Yeah.
I could tell you the long story without it being more than
Sure.
the time we have. But to me, it was fascinating too, because he had scheduled for Los Angeles, but then Alan had a terrible cycling accident, and so Guruji said, "Let's just postpone and talk later." And I don't know how much longer it was, less than a year, maybe. They had rescheduled for Chennai, where I had just been. They said they're going to record in Chennai. And I wanted to do this so much. I don't think I told Chinema that I told them, oh, I'm going to be there at that same time. But that was by design. I wanted to go back. What better time to go back? So I got the credit card out and went to Chennai and got there a week early, practiced like crazy every day. Spoke with Guruji a little bit. I had met him once, actually, a year earlier in San Francisco when we prepared for the Los Angeles idea of recording. So I'm getting ready for the recording. I'm very excited about it. And just about midnight, the night before recording, Guruji gave me a call and he said, "Oh, Barry, I'm so sorry. George doesn't like the studio. He doesn't want a digital studio," which that's understandable. So we booked the next analog studio we could get, which is 2 months away. So can you just relax? Can you go see India and have a good time? And but I tell you, the pressures, the financial pressures at home and keeping everything going, and I couldn't stay. So before going home, he had me over for lunch because we'd only briefly met before. He said, come to think of it, Barry, I've never heard you play. Come over and bring your cello. And so that was like a momentous moment. That's saying the same thing twice, but came over for lunch and we went into another room and I played some Bach for him and I played an Irish jig for him. And I think he liked that I played both of them, not just strictly classical thing. And then he gave me my first cello lesson right then and there. And I think we were just getting along so well. He gets along well with everyone as far as I know, but it seemed we were getting along well. And they said, if you'd like to come to Encinitas, later on. And I said, yes, please, for lessons and things. So that started our lessons in the next phase and stuff. So I was very regretful to let Chance go. I love the CD so much, and I don't actually know. I think the strings ended up maybe being recorded in London, or in Henley. So I'm not quite sure.
It was recorded in George's studio in his home.
Yeah.
Sometimes because I was part of the album.
Yeah.
So it was in Henley. I was in fact in Geneva, Switzerland, when I got a call from Guruji and Nama, and they wanted me over for the recording. So I went, and it was recorded in Henley. So that's where it happened. It was, I think, 1997 autumn, if I'm not wrong with the exact time frame, but I think I'm right in the year. It was 1997, and somewhere around autumn, around September, October, I think.
And I think many of the strings that played were also at the concert for George, if not all of them. I think.
Yes, correct.
So it's great. I got to meet them and play with them. So that was a treat. Actually, I could go on to starting lessons there. When we were all back in California, I went down to Encinitas, not only for lessons, but I think it was good for both of us in a way that I could help him write out for the Russian cellist Rostropovich two cello pieces that he wanted to write for his friend Rostropovich, and I would have lessons, and I felt that time was amazing because I'm getting the most amazing music lessons, as you know, and it was a lot of work and it was a lot of fun at the same time. And then we would work on the Rostropovich pieces, and I, of course, had to learn to play them so I could play back the ideas as he composed them, and that felt like jumping in. That was jumping in the deep end for me because he works so quickly, and yet he was, I was a beginner in Indian music. I'm learning sargam for the first time, and he casually took the time to. I don't know how he could stand it. He's teaching a beginner, and we're working on a professional project, and I'm getting lessons. It's quite a thing. He seemed to just be relaxed, and warm and friendly, and we're getting our work done, and it's amazing how off and on I kept thinking, amazing, he takes on a beginner. He doesn't have to take on a beginner with Indian music like me, but he did, and I'm obviously very thankful for that. And I guess I'm not the first. I know other students maybe had more familiarity with Indian music than I did. Even though I listened to it all the time, I have to say, as a teenager, about the one album we could get in the 60s was called Three Ragas. And I listened to it constantly. I wore that album out. I still have it here. I have it nearby, as it just makes me happy to see it. I don't think I can play it anymore. It's just worn to bits. So actually, with Rostropovich, it's also very strange writing music for one of the most technically amazing senior wonderful cellists on earth, and me as started as a folk cellist and working my way up, So I'm trying to guess how hard is too hard to play for Rostropovich. And as it turned out, because Guruji took me with him to the premiere, and I was there to just help. This was in Evian in
France.
In France in 98, I think. I think I have a notes. 1998? Probably. 1999, Evian, France. So I was there just to coordinate, and if anything needed changing, because you never know with Guruji if he's going to change notes. So I was there ready to write out anything that got changed and to help with the rehearsing. And so I'm in heaven. I've got Ravi Shankar and Rostropovich. It was dazzling. I'd have to say, dazzling experience. Great experience. Wow, just very emotional too to be there with those two giants of East and West working together. To see them working together, it was just lovely, lovely time. You showed a picture.
Do you remember the compositions? Little bit, even for us to just hear a few notes or a line or two lines.
Yeah, yeah.
Would be
We.
wonderful to have some music and the wonderful sound of your cello.
Oh, thank you.
I
Yeah.
just love the sound. So it would be wonderful. This special pieces Guruji wrote for one of the greatest cellists, Rostropovich.
Yeah.
If you can play a little bit, would
Yeah.
be really wonderful to hear.
He composed two pieces. He called it Sonata Number 1 for cello and harp in Tilak Sham. But I think he was,
Tilaksham.
yeah, but he wanted to keep it a kind of a Western thing. So he called it Sonata Number 1. He never mentioned Tilak Sham in the notes or anything.
Okay, okay.
And then we did the larger quartet for sitar, cello, harp, tabla, which you and I have played in the Ravi Shankar quartet.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I will. Let's see. Let me get ready here. I'll play a little of the alap of Palaskafi.
So Palaskafi also he made the composition for Rostropovich.
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, Palaskafi is linked to my hometown, Allahabad.
I did not know that.
My uncle and so Guruji composed it while he was there on a concert with Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab. Guruji composed it in Allahabad. That was where he first performed in the 60s.
That is amazing. That's great. This was the cello and
Beautiful,
the sitar too.
Beautiful.
He designed it so well with cellos and sitar echoing, and I'm playing both parts on the cello. I love to do, but then also designing it as a back and forth conversation is such a beautiful idea that he did.
Give me some what you experienced by watching, by seeing Guruji interact with Rostropovich, by you speaking to Rostropovich and his reactions. Give us little insight into that, Barry.
It was they, I have to say my very first impression was they were like teenagers together.
Oh my God.
You know how that is. They just were like teenagers, and it was a very happy experience for me, and I'm sure for them. There were. I don't know if he had played. He was telling me how difficult the piece was. Where I was trying to gauge how hard is too hard, even for him, or not to make it so. I think he had. I'm guessing he had about a week to prepare, and really, how hard is too hard? And he said the hardest part. He's telling Guruji, this one part at the end is so difficult. Barry knows how hard that is. But of course he did. He, like, technically he's like a machine. And as a Russian cellist, there are just a few moments like, we do in the end of, near the end of FoundationCopy, there's sevens. Da 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 da. And this is fascinating. So as a Russian, he's learned to rather than play even sevens and the beauty in that, he played, he liked to express kind of in a classical romantic way. So that didn't work with the piece. And we're all wondering how this isn't working with the piece. And they would just kind of giggle about it. And then he's going to do it even though it was against the grain for him. He wanted to express it differently. He said, okay, I'll take this on. And of course he did it brilliantly. He played the whole piece brilliant. I was his page turner. Of course, this piece has many, many, many pages with the cello part, and he's going to read it for the concert, which was the final, end of this trip. And he really didn't like the way I turned pages. In fact, I think he was mad at me the first day. I turned the pages all wrong. So I'm crumbling with him really disliking the way I turn pages. It has to be at the right moment. He's reading note for note, note by note. None of it's memorized, of course. So and in a quick passage, he's reading the last note of one page, and I have to turn it fast enough for him to see the next note before he plays it. That's impossible. So, yes, we got this rhythm together. I have to say it worked out great. Where I had to anticipate that he had, or guess, that he had looked 3 or 4 notes ahead so I could turn the page. I mean, it's a simple little thing, but it created, it worked out great, by the way. He said this really sweet thing at the end after the concert. He said, Barry turned pages better than I played the piece. And it was really funny. And it's for him to say that, to put me at ease after he probably knew I was sweating like a maniac. thinking maybe I'm still doing it all wrong even during the concert, but it's just.
But one thing what really struck me just now, Barry,
Yeah.
let me ask you, especially for students like me of music, you said technically he was like a machine.
Yeah.
How did he become, you think his hands were longer than usual hands, or was it hard work, practice? What was it? Or he was just built for the cello, or the other way around, the cello was built for him?
That is the question. I have a theory which I've not investigated. So maybe some other cellists will be able to enlighten me and everyone. I think playing the cello, if you start so young on the cello, it has to change your hand shape, I think.
Yeah.
So if he's playing 8, 10, 12 hours a day as a young child, I was describing right after the show, I was describing watching his fingers go down. They were like little frog fingers that go thup, 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 right on the notes. Just thup, 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 thup. So this machine, maybe his hand was built for it, but I think practicing had
a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard work. I think that's the hard work is the main reason why technically he was just there, just so there. Which of course gave him room the expression was then open to whatever he wanted to, however he wanted to interpret a piece. Because this machine here was rock solid,
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So from FoundationCopy, from Rostropovich and Guruji, from here, where do we go?
Maybe on, it wasn't much longer. I continued going to Encinitas. I probably somehow, I don't know how they found out that I was a recording engineer. I probably just talked to them and they heard me, or we were talking about recording and I probably said, "Oh, I do recording," because in '99 up to 2000 we did that 3 CD set Shankar Ragamala.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and
that's
just
such a big contribution. That was Chinnama's idea.
Yeah,
and I think that's so thoughtful. I would say of course it is very classy, as all projects Guruji has done and Chinnama has done. Very classy, but the idea of putting all of Guruji's rags together. Now we can refer to that CD. We can go back to the booklet. We can check out Nat Bhairav. What's the background? What's the ascending, descending? How does it sound like? What was Guruji's thought? Which year was that? It's so beautiful. It's such a thoughtful thing Rama did. I think it was for Guruji's 80th birthday, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 80th birthday.
Speak about that. It's important.
This was for me a huge project and one that I was really happy to take on. And some was recorded, quite a bit was recorded in the downstairs living room in Encinitas, where we did other recordings later on. But I gathered up all the equipment. Alan lent 2 wonderful microphones. Alan, and we.
So we lost him earlier.
Oh, I know. I just
really miss him. Really.
Yeah. That was stunning. What a sweet person. He helped me. He's Mr. Recording Engineer, as you know, and photographer. And just to loan two priceless microphones. Not priceless, but they're out of my price range. And the rest of the gear I brought and set up in the living room. We recorded Anushka there. We recorded Lakshmi Shankar. I tell you, that session is still ringing in my ears. Parameshwari, the way she sang that, I
You have
am
such a haunting voice.
just, so lovely. And she was so sweet. And I have to say, there's so many, that was a big project. So many things happened. One day in that room, it's just Guruji, Lakshmiji, and myself. And I'm at the piano as like a rehearsal pianist. And Guruji is right here and Lakshmiji is right here. And he's working with her in singing. And it must have been Parameshwari, but I have to say I was so otherworldly to be in the middle of the two of them. I don't remember if it was Parameshwari. It probably was. That they were singing over and over, and he would sing it and she would sing it. And I was just there to provide, the pitch. And
I hope it was recorded.
It was not recorded. It was just a sudden like, let's sit down and do this. So yes, I'd love to hear it and see it.
Just recorded in your memory.
It's recorded in my memory. So many moments like that, like he would allow recording, and Art Makovinsky would be there doing video sometimes. Other times it's just yourself and Guruji, and you wish it was on film forever, but that was one of those times. With that 3 CD project, recordings were sent in, as you know, mainly from India, and all sorts of DAT recording, probably a CD or so. There were a couple of cassettes that came in, and my job was to clean it all up. And thank goodness for computers at that point, because we could clean up cassettes. And there's so many. There was a DAT that came in warped, like got hot in the mail or something. It came in as a little thing, and it would only play 10 seconds or so at a time. So I played 10 seconds or so at a time, over and over and over and over and over, until I got the entire piece and clipped it all together. And so many little projects, craft projects, audio craft projects like that happened during the show, during the making of that. But it's a real joy to do. And I'm real happy with the way it came out. And I got to meet so many. I had met you earlier. Actually, we met in '99 in London, Gaurav. I think it was. But it was nice. I met more musicians then, and that was another dive into the Guruji's world, which was busy. I would say busy and fun, or fun or happy. Like, it was always comfortable and warm, even when we were busy, even when we had so much to do, which was an amazing thing. I'm not quite sure how he did that.
There was always so much more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There was always so much more. It was absolutely memorable. You know what? In some time, we'll be celebrating the 75th anniversary of India's independence. And that brings me to the beautiful song, which is now as important, or maybe more popular than the national anthem of India, Sare Jahan Se Acha, which Guruji wrote early in his, I think, mid-20s, 1945, if I'm not wrong.
I think that was 1945, yeah.
And you had the great luck, I would say, to sit with Guruji and notate and orchestrate, and I think Guruji was planning to record it. And so you have the score, and I was thrilled to see the score when we toured together and we did the Ravi Shankar Quartet project.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
would it be possible for you to show us the score for the cello, and
Yeah.
also play for us what you learned from Guruji directly, this beautiful iconic song, Sare Jahan Se Acha
Yeah.
Hindustan Hamara.
Yeah. This is the cello version. This is the kind of, also, I don't know if it's visible.
It's visible, very
Oh, good.
visible.
I'll go like that.
Yes. 2018
28. Oh, this is for the cello version. Yeah.
version. Yeah.
I think I did this version for the Ravi Shankar Quartet concerts we did.
Yes.
But it's simply lifted from the score I did with him. There's the Western notation, but there's Sargam as well. And so that's the kind of thing we did. So many hours in Encinitas and everywhere,
Did he tell you anything, any background to this song and anything related to when he was working on it? Could you share something with us? Maybe we'll get to know a little bit more about this song.
We were mainly, I think, teaching it to me was the only thing he said, something about not being very happy that it was considered a folk tune or something, that it wasn't his tune. That must have been frustrating for him. And so that's all I recall from that time, that he
just play for us.
Yeah, he was wishing people would know it was his. Of course.
I think it's well established, and
I think so too.
It's known now. It's known.
Yeah.
Thanks to a lot of effort by Cinema.
Yeah, exactly.
Making it really clear to people who were not aware, and also making it clear to people who were not correctly informed about it. And luckily it's all recorded. It's all there. It's
exactly.
Well, so let's listen to it.
Yeah. Also, hearing him sing it was such a privilege. For several days he'd sing, I'd play it, and he was working on orchestration bits, between the vocal lines, things that he wanted me to put in the orchestration.
Yes.
But a lot of it was just he would sing it, and I would sing it back, or mainly play it back. Just a snippet. Yeah.
Yes.
I just love it.
For the rest, people have to come to a concert.
That's right.
So that's I think good. So where do we go from here then, Barry?
Then soon after all this was a concert for George.
2002.
2002. So.
So tell me, I have a question before that.
Yeah.
seeing the Ed Sullivan show when you were 9, from Beach Boys to Beatles, and being so hugely inspired, and how was it for you to first come face to face with George Harrison?
It's a strange moment in a way, because it happened with Guruji as well. It's an iconic image of the person is all you have before you meet them. So there's, photos and video, and I suppose that almost makes it like an untouched. You can't get to this person there. Well, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
no, but I got that. I got that.
Yeah.
Moments when you don't know how to process your emotions. It's so much.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You're at loss of words, and you're at loss of how to digest this fact that he was the guy.
It's strange because go ahead.
Who changed the world?
Yeah.
Through such wonderful lyrics and wonderful music.
Yeah.
And he's changed your life. He's brought so much. This was my feeling, Barry, when we were performing at the Albert Hall for the George Harrison Memorial in 2002. You remember it well.
Yeah.
And the first half was the Indian music section, which Guruji and Anushka had presented.
Yeah.
And at the backdrop, there was a huge dropout of George's picture in a kurta and with those Rudraksh beads. I started crying seeing that, and I said, my God, how much he has contributed to Indian culture and art and music and philosophy and religion, and how much awareness he has brought to the world about India.
Yeah.
It's just so much. It's so much that only I think tears do justice to an emotion like that, what you feel and what you go through. You cannot really explain it.
You can't explain it. And because you've in a way, you've had a relationship with this person, changing the world before you meet them, for maybe decades and decades. There's a relationship happening. They don't know about it, but inside of yourself, there's a relationship happening.
Yes.
Where you like what they're doing, you're moved by what they're doing, you're emotionally affected by what they're doing for decades, and then you meet them face to face. It's lost for words. Of course, Guruji made it so easy. I've seen him put people at ease so instantly, like he did for me. And same with George Harrison.
Oh, wonderful. I'll never forget, but there's one incident, if you allow me to share.
Oh, please.
This was, you remember the accident he had at home? Somebody came into his home and stabbed him. So he had this, I think, I don't know how soon or how later, but there was, after that incident, there was a concert of Guruji at the Barbican.
Yeah.
And I had gone to that concert, and as usual in the intermission, I wanted to go backstage to meet Guruji, and I realized that there was a lot of security, more than what is usual, So I didn't want to break any of that. I just asked the guy at the door, I said, just check if my name is there. If it is there, it's okay. Otherwise, I'll meet him after the concert, or I'll meet him maybe. I'm here in London, so I'll meet him at his home, no issues.
Yeah.
So he checked the list, and he said no, unfortunately. And as he was about to say, your name is not here, and it was dark, I felt somebody putting his arm around me from the back and saying, oh, you can't stop him, he's my friend. And I knew it's George,
Yeah. Very good.
I had such a, I said, and of course we hugged each other, and then with that, his arms around me, he took me inside, and such a gesture. I'll never forget that. I can still feel him. These are all special people. These are all special people. Guruji, within a moment, he would know your emotions. He would know how you are feeling, and he would make you so comfortable that because he wanted to really know the real you. He never was a person who wanted to see you stressed or see you nervous or whatever. He wanted to know who really you are. That he knows what sort of energy he is working with, and he was a master of that. So something really I learned quite a lot from Guruji, especially that aspect of his life where he was interacting, whether it was people at home working for him, cooking for him, cleaning for him, or going to meet the president, or it was such a lesson other than music, Barry.
Exactly. Really, what I'm often thinking these days, as always, if I could be more like that. Like, I tend to worry more. I didn't see him, if he ever worried about music deadlines or anything, I have no idea. I don't know if he
I'm
did.
sure he did worry, but his worry was within him.
Yes, and he didn't make it the atmosphere.
He didn't involve others in that worry.
Exactly.
So he dealt with it. He was strong enough to deal with it. He was intelligent. He was talented. He was gifted. So he would process it within him and work around his worries. And contribute and deliver. And he never failed that way. So that his mechanisms were in place. You need to worry. You have to worry. You need to be nervous if you're a performer, for you to build those moments of great expression and tremendous output. You have to be. I cannot imagine somebody to be absolutely callous and casual and relaxed to go and give a great concert. No, there must be at one corner, wherever, there is a certain sense of worry. Or what's going to happen today? How am I going to approach it? It all was there, but you deal with it. You don't involve others and make the whole people around you nervous and going crazy because you are that way,
Well, that's what he had such a handle on. He was a master of that, because he put me and everyone at ease.
Yes. So that's wonderful. So absolutely.
Getting ready for Concert for George, I thought, wow, if that was me, how could I? We're writing down his ideas for the orchestra, the string players, and for the whole Arpan piece. I did several days in Encinitas, and Pedro did several days in Encinitas. 3 or 4, I would think, that would be too close to call. But Guruji, and I think you're right about of course he worried, but it probably added to the creativity in it, and he's going to get it done. And because he just always did, he just got it done, and didn't rush. Didn't rush, but didn't spend a year preparing. It's kind of he knew just how to do it, and he did it. And
also Guruji, I don't think was a person who could write something 1 or 2 years before. He I think was a person who worked very good under pressure.
And he loved being in front of the group and just saying, okay, sing a new line to someone, sing a new line to someone else.
Here is your piece. Here. Now let's all do it together. Okay, no, you stop. You do this. And within a short time, the piece was more or less ready. So that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. From there, where do we go?
Let's see.
Concert for George 2002.
Concert for George. Well, what an amazing event that was. The whole time I was kind of struck by how joyous and of course how sad at the same time. Like, you're missing somebody terribly, and you're having a wonderful celebration as it should be. That was like every emotion washing through you for the week that we were there, preparing. 5 days we were there preparing, and then the performance. Yeah, but what a thrill! What a wonderful.
Absolutely.
A group of, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, after that, of course, I kept going for lessons, and you know, in 2004, I had such a good time watching David Murphy's interview, where he spoke so eloquently about Guruji. I was tempted to just write down everything he said and read it to you today. Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. There are copyright issues.
Oh, that's right. He copyrighted.
You'll get a letter from the Pandit Ravi Shankar Music Foundation.
That's right. But he spoke wonderfully, and he spoke about Dartington.
What an experience that was. Imagine, that's like also, as I mentioned, coming full circle is not only once in your life, it's many a times in different events and people, places. For Guruji, it was like coming full circle, coming there in his childhood with his brother, Uday Shankarji. And then going there and all of us with him staying there like a residency and doing this project.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, please.
Well, I did the Encinitas half, the pre-Dartington. And I was invited to come to Dartington, but I had this drives me crazy to this day. I had an engagement I didn't think I could break to come to Dartington. And of course, I wish I cut that free, but I would have upset too many people. So preparing for Dartington was the same thing. You showed a picture. I think the very first picture you showed this morning was Guruji and I on the floor, probably doing the Dartington, sketching through the entire piece, getting one line in Western and then another version in Sargam. And to sit with him, and he's thought of many of the things ahead of time, because he's always thinking melody and rhythm and working up pieces. I think he did that constantly. So some melodies he probably had already thought of, and would sing them or play them to me, and I'd write them down, and I'd learn them on the cello. And of course, he's editing his own pieces as he sings them or plays them to me, and then I play them back, and he might change a little of this. And of course, he's very particular, even though we're just sketching the notation for the musicians to come. He would work with me to get each note just right. You know, like, here's the expression that you should play this line with, or that line with, or that should be a little quieter, this should be a little louder. Then maybe the next day he would decide, oh, maybe he'll do something differently. But then he would work it down to fine details, like performance level details, as we're sketching out doing the first sketches on paper. I always liked that he did that. He gave the real flavor of what he's going after, down to minute detail, whether we kept that section or not. But those pieces are gorgeous. To this day, I haven't heard, and I have to talk to David. David, if you're listening, I'm going to be talking to you. I'd love to hear a recording of the final version from Dartington with Indian instruments, the Western instruments. I have not heard the final result, so I need to.
Yes, definitely. That was a great experience. 2004. From there,
We did. I came in 2006. I took kind of a year off or 8 months off to do some traveling. And part of it was going to be in the Ravi Shankar Center in Delhi. But of course, Guruji's heart was troubling him. And after 2 weeks in Delhi and knowing he wasn't going to come that year, I went back to Encinitas and stayed several months to work on Vajaspati, or several pieces, but Vajaspati for Joshua Bell, the violinist. And that must have been the same time we did a piano solo for Philip Glass, I think. Although that piece was not performed, Philip didn't perform it, so I don't know. But I think it was at the same time as the Vajaspati. And we worked, that was a long composition time, and gorgeous piece, of course. I tried to play, it's for violin, but I did my best trying to play it on the cello, and would work up mock-up recordings with me on the cello, but I would speed it up an octave, or just tune it up an octave to sound like a violin, like a bad violin. And the sitar part, I would have the computer play, I'd type it into the computer, and it played sitar, and a terrible, terrible sitar sample, which I thought would drive him crazy, to hear just bink, 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 bink as a sitar. And he said, no, it's fine. I get the idea. The computer's doing the best it can. And it's very valuable, really, to be able to play it as a performance on the computer, get a sense of the overall structure and even the minute details. And he did a lot of editing on that, going over sections, adding sections. Became quite long, I think. And I know Anushka and Joshua Bell premiered it in France, maybe later that year or the year after. The piano piece for Philip Glass, I believe, was for a concert Philip was giving, playing piano. Might have been his birthday. I don't, that became foggy because we kind of dropped it when Glass couldn't. His schedule was so busy. He said, I just can't practice the piano anymore. So that kind of went away. Right after that, I went on tour with Anushka, not long after. So that was another wonderful experience. Kind of a world tour, the world minus the US, which was fine with me because we went through Europe. It was gorgeous and beautiful, and New Zealand, Australia. What a rush. That's the longest tour I've done because I'm not much of a touring musician. I tend to do recording sessions in the Bay Area here, the San Francisco Bay Area. So it was a real rush to, although I'd seen it in accompanying Guruji on Tampura, which I did quite a lot in, especially in '99, and I was at the Barbican show as well with you in '99, I believe that was. Just to see it happen as a Tampura player, the pressure is off, but you get all the excitement of a long tour. So in 2007 with Anushka, the pressure was more on. I had to play the right notes at the right time, apparently, and I tried. Did my best there. Very fun tour. Anushka Tan my boss. I think you know all the lineup there. The Anushka Shankar project. There are other projects. There's so many projects with Guruji sitting. I love that photo you showed because it reminds me of so much good time working hard and enjoying it so much. There were later projects like the Hollywood Bowl, which, I kind of forget what year that was. 2009 or so. I'm sorry, I don't know, but
I don't remember.
yeah,
That one I don't.
yeah. By that time, as the 2000s were rolling on, I became more of a recording. I started restoring some of the old tapes for Chinnama's record label there, which I love doing. I'm kind of a nut about recordings. And to take out a tape from 1950, 1960 of Guruji and see what shape is it in, what does it need to be presentable as a CD. And some of the tapes are in very good shape, some not so good. Some had missing bits. With old tapes, there's always some issue to restore it, how to restore it. And that's work I really enjoy. And I was very happy to be doing that. And there's a recording of Guruji in Hollywood in his backyard giving a house concert. And I forget the year, maybe it's 1967, 8, I forget now. Maybe 69. That came out as a CD. And what a performance. And that it's at his home, and you can hear the crickets chirping in the background, and you just feel like you're there. So that kind of tape restoration is just wonderful to do. And which kind of led into recording the Living Room Sessions, his last 2 CDs, Volume 1 and Volume 2, which we did in the same room. We did that Shankar Ragamala 3 CD set, the lower living room kind of room in Encinitas. And I know I keep saying what a joy, but what a joy. And Guruji was so happy. And I didn't know we were making a CD, by the way. They had kind of forgotten to tell me that, or something, or maybe best leave it as a tag on to the end of the sessions, because I thought I was going there to just record anything Guruji wants to play, which was what it was. And he would just think of something and play it, and for as long as he wanted. And we would talk. It was very relaxed. And of course, I recorded it as if it was going to be a CD, as you would. And then after the week, and I think we did 3 recording days in that 5 or 6 days that I was there. And at the very end, Guruji says, "Oh, Barry, just clean it up and put it out as a CD." And I think I could not say a word. I had no idea. And I'm glad that was the plan, because it's quite beautiful. And we put out Volume 1, and then Volume 2, at the very end of Volume 1, you hear how happy he was. He says, "Oh, that was fun. That was fun." And Tanmoy Bose says, "Yes, that was fun." And I took many photographs, and he just became a teenager. To see him as a teen. I asked him. I said, are you feeling like a teenager?" And he said, "Yes, yes." You could see it all over him.
That passion, that joy
Yeah,
of
yeah,
doing it all over again.
yeah, yeah.
How nice. What a journey, Barry.
Mm.
What a wonderful life you have led. And I remember our traveling together with the Ravi Shankar Quartet and these wonderful
Right.
concerts. And I
Mm.
look forward to seeing you soon. And meanwhile, you have a good time, stay healthy. And once again, wish your mom happy 90th from all of us. Lots of love and regards to her. I wish you all
Thank
the
you.
best. Thanks a lot for coming and
Thank you for asking. It's
on
been
this
a
show
joy.
and being part of this. Without you, this series would be incomplete.
Mm.
And we are on our 79th episode today.
Congratulations on the whole series. That's a big project. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. And
So yeah,
we look forward to completing 100. Basically, this was meant for Guruji's centenary. So we definitely want to touch the number 100.
yeah,
100 people speaking on Guruji and whether they have known him directly or indirectly, but people who have known him, uh, putting some light on his life and his music so that we get to know a little more of Guruji, which is so
yeah.
wonderful. And I thank you and stay in touch and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Likewise, I look forward to when we see each other again. And I also want to thank Chinema,
Thank you.
Anushka for their warmth and support through all these years. Without Chinema and Anushka,
Yeah,
that completes the Guruji
yes,
thing. What a
absolutely.
terrible word. I'm out of
Absolutely.
words.
Absolutely. We have had
Yeah,
such strong support and love from Chinama, Anushka,
yeah,
and the whole family. And we are all one family. We are all one family, and we are lucky and happy to be one.
yeah. And what a wonderful and extended family. It's.
Yes. Spread
Yeah,
all
exactly,
across the globe, everywhere. Wherever
exactly,
you go, you'll find Guruji.
exactly.
So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me, Nabarun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you, Nabarun. Thank you very much. And
Okay.
I'll see you soon as well, Nabarun. And
Yeah, sure.
looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. And the viewers, do join us next Sunday with another interesting series of reflections with once again, one of the disciples of Panditji. Good night and stay safe.